Hello, Moment friends! Andang here, very excited because earlier today, the sequel to Train Fever was announced. Transport Fever is going to be coming out later this fall, and it's not that big of a surprise that Transport Fever is the next game. People were anticipating that that would be the case, especially once they shared the plain image earlier this month. And so, not too surprising, but it's really cool that they're going to be building on their existing rail simulation that was Train Fever and expanding upon it to make a new game. And that's really how game design should work for indie developers, I think, is that they, at least in this genre, they should start out with a small concept and do it really, really well, and then expand out into broader stuff in the sequels to come. And so let's actually go ahead and watch the trailer that released today. And we're just going to do an analysis of what we see based on some of the features that they have given. And as you can see, already the graphics are way better. Obviously, if we go back here real quick, the flag is not waving at all. I'm hoping that that's not final. Obviously, this is, it says in the trailer that it is alpha footage over here in the corner. You can't see it because the annoying YouTube video logo, but hopefully they will be having, the flag, spinning around, or at least not be that just static like it looks there, have it be hanging down or something. One thing you might have noticed already in this shot, if I can get it here, is that there's people. There are now people on the rides, including inside of trains, which we'll see later in this video, where there's actual people interacting and looking fairly interesting. That's a new system that they've added in, where there's now these people that will be on all of your rides. And by rides, I mean transportation types. Alright, and as you can see, planes, and just look how beautiful that plane is. Really, really amazing. And you can see a very similar landscape to what we've seen in the past in Train Fever. And then here's just the announcement of Transport Fever. And you can build your transport empire. So this trailer actually seems kind of like it's for fans of their previous game, because the #1 requested feature was that rail lines could actually cross each other, as we can see here. And they've finally implemented that in the sequel, which is super duper awesome that they are listening to the community and helping make these things happen. And here we can see that it's actually going across to this middle track and going over. So they've made it a lot easier to do these complex rail systems of crossing each other, which is great. Absolutely great. And if you noticed, it was mid-bridge, it actually branched off. So if you can see here, it's actually wider, and then there's this branch off that comes off to the side, which is super awesome. It gives so much more freedom of creativity to the player, and I'm really excited to see what the community comes up with as they experiment with this new system. And here we can see it actually branched off with 2 tracks, which is super awesome. You couldn't do that in the original Train Fever, that's for sure. And you can see a super complex line system that they got going here, where it's actually moving over from the far line and then coming across and getting off of this. So no longer do you have to have these huge over-branching paths that go, these huge bridge networks no longer have to take place. Something to notice here is that there is a much more realistic looking, it looks like a bus station. It's hard to tell. It says transportation on it, and there are buses over here, so I'm guessing that that is what that is, but it's a little hard to tell in this particular image. It might also be just a train station. And it says master land, water, and air. Okay, very good. And if you noticed, this is not just like a montage. You can now actually upgrade stations, which is something you could not do before. So you can now just upgrade existing stations. If you want to add an extra line, it's easy. You just upgrade it, no problem. That is fantastic, and it works for the port here as well. And it looks like they've made roads be easier to deal with as well. And if you notice here, this looks like that same station from before, so I'm guessing it was a actual passenger station. The station is on the end here, and so you can have this really cool way into the station where it just comes right up and ends there. It's something that we have not seen in Train Fever. That is just really cool. So it looks like there's a lot more different styles of stations that you can actually build, which is really, really cool. And I just reset the trailer. Alright, let's get back here. So really, really cool. Also, the just traffic in the city seems to be flowing a lot better. So it seems that they've improved that system as well. And the city just looks more realistic, better graphics, it just looks better all around. And here we can see that there's an airport on the other side, so there's this huge transportation hub that we can now have where you can have people get right off the train and go on to the airport, and then there's the buses that can take them throughout the city. So now, and then there's, a dock over here, so everything is all connected and able to create these huge, huge cities, so really cool. And it says experience realistic simulation, and so now they actually have more simulation in the actual industry side of things, which is great. If you notice here, it's actually upgrading, and there's this nice little turnaround thing, and so the environmental places look much more realistic now, which is very awesome. And here we can see just a gorgeous shot of a plane flying there, and you can now modify terrain, which is great. I don't know if this is just them doing trailer graphics, but it does say that you can actually change graphics on trains, but this looks a little bit like it's done in trailer. I can't tell for sure though, because that logo just does not look like it should be going there. It doesn't have any background or anything. It just looks like it's kind of tacked on there. But anyway, it looks like we'll be able to do that. And then here we can see this just absolutely beautiful train here. Fantastic next generation graphics, it looks like. And you can modify the colors now, so you can basically, change if you don't want it to whatever you want it to look like. And master 150 years of transportation history. Apparently there will now be a actual campaign that can take you through either American or European history. And if you notice, there are a ton of shots in this trailer. And here we can see inside this bus, there's actual people inside, which is super duper awesome. So no longer is it just the fake windows. You can now see inside and watch people while they ride on your transportation routes. And another thing is that this train will actually age, and it works for all vehicle types. As they get older, it will visually show the decay over time, which is super duper awesome. Here we can see a plane going about the airport back into the hangar. Super cool. All sorts of types of trains, and that's the end of the trailer. So looks like that there are a ton of features with this. It is definitely expanding upon the core of Train Fever in a really big way, and it's super duper awesome. I'm really, really excited to see the finished product, because we have not Transportation Tycoon came out so long ago. It is really nice to see another game tackling this type of large-scale transportation. Obviously, Cities in Motion kind of did it, but I never really liked that game. I don't think it focused enough on the train side of things. It was more focused on just in-city stuff. It wasn't focused on these huge empires between various cities. And so it's really cool that this game is coming out, because it fulfills something that has not been fulfilled in a very, very long time. And it looks like that the train simulation will actually be better than it has ever been before. So they're building on the train simulation, and they're adding in all these other types of transportation as well. So it seems like that this is going to be just a really, really fun transportation game. I'm super duper excited about it, and can't wait for its release later this fall. So there are also a lot of features that it lists out, most of which we've already talked about, but I just want to go down the list here. And so first off, a lot of work has been put into development of Transport Fever. The game offers an impressive list of improvements over the predecessor Train Fever. And I don't think one big thing that they're touting is that it's the next generation transport simulation game. We'll see when it comes out. It definitely has next generation graphics, that's for sure, and it definitely seems to be doing a lot of things that other games have not done, where there's just this amazing amount of rail finesse that you're now able to do when you're placing tracks and things like that. So it's possible that this really is the next gen transportation game, but we'll have to see. So the key bullet points listed here are that you get endless game, of course, with 2 scenarios and countless railroad, water, and air vehicles. And then there's also campaign mode with challenges from European and North American transportation history. That is something that has not taken place before, so it'll be very interesting to see what that is like. In another part, they say that they're taking it very seriously and they're going to be focusing on the history and making sure that it's, very accurate and stuff like that, which based on their game design decisions, they have been focused on accuracy from the beginning, and they've actually limited certain gameplay features from happening because of historical accuracy. And then later on they went back on some of those because they realized that it is a bit more fun. But we'll see how this historical stuff works. Anyway, arguably the most intuitive and powerful track construction tools ever seen in a game. Well, based on the trailer for this, I would say that's quite possible. They're able to, cross tracks and combine tracks in ways that we have not seen, and yet they're very accurate to reality, it looks like. So that is going to be awesome. Upgradable and extendable stations. Extendable as well. That is super awesome. So no longer if you somehow create a longer train than you thought you were ever going to, you can now extend the station, which will be great. You could place longer stations, but you'd have to delete the previous one first. So that is good that you're able to do that now, and it's also true for harbors and airports. Sophisticated cargo model with realistic freight stocks and complex chains. Now, fans of Train Fever know that the previous series, in Train Fever, it only allowed for you to basically get goods and take goods to cities. It's possible that that's still the case. I'm really hoping, though, that cities will now desire different types of goods. That was one thing that was probably my biggest issue with the core Train Fever, is that it did not allow for that. And so hopefully we'll be able to see this in the next game. I'm excited to see how that will work. Agent-based passenger simulation and dynamic evolving cities. So this is kind of similar to what we've seen before. Nothing really new there. That's just kind of a rehash. Realistic simulated vehicles, including interiors, aging, and modifiable painting and logos. So this is an awesome feature. It just allows for customization to your trains. If you want to have, all red trains, I think you will probably be able to do that and, make your entire empire have the same color scheme. That would be really cool if you could do something like that. Heavily optimized user interface and late game performance. So it seems that they've improved the interface and the game performance. No real details on what they're actually doing there. And extensive modding support, including Steam Workshop. So this does seem to be super awesome. It seems like that they have listened to the fans and are expanding upon their core game to be a broader type of transportation simulation, which I am really excited about. I'm looking forward to what comes from this. Obviously, they could still, mess things up, but I think that it has a pretty good chance of being a super awesome simulation game. I'm really excited about it, and it just looks really good. This trailer has amazing graphics. I mean, look at that plane. Good grief. And, they've added in a lot more details that should make the game be a lot more fun to play. So I'm looking forward to it. Let me know in the comments below what all of you think of this next game in the Fever series, I suppose. It's kind of weird that that's a thing now, but because it's not, not exactly the most attractive name, but it's cool that they've expanded into this. I think that this fits them very well. And it's exciting to see how they've improved the train simulation as far as the actual rail placement. I'm really excited to see where it goes. And at the very least, it should be a better Train Fever. We'll see how the rest of the simulations go. But it seems like they've made a lot of improvements, and it's still only an alpha. I'm excited to see what happens next. But anyway, once again, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see all of you again real soon for more content.